racist, it's not because of your skin color. Like, it's a totally different cultural context.
Yeah.
It's something that you have to really...
It's a different oppression.
It's totally different. Like, you cannot comprehend that kind of oppression if you grow up in a society where that thing literally does not exist. So, of course, it sounds ridiculous. It sounds, like, absolutely ridiculous because you've never experienced it in your life, you know? Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Okay, wait. That leads to, like, another thing I was talking to, because we had, like, this big discussion, me and my mom, and she's like, oh, but there are, like, black people out there who are doing really well, like, you know, famous, like, I think she said basketball players or something, and, like, and she was like, Obama was president, like, you know,
I hate it when they bring up Obama.
Mom, like, that does.
Yeah, you know what happened after Obama?
Racism.
Trump. So.
Trump, exactly. And I was like, you can't compare the top 1% to the rest of this. Like, you can't compare the two. And then I was like, okay, you know, it's like if you take a look at, like, the top 1% of China, like, they're super rich, like, they're, like, very, very wealthy, you know, crazy rich Asians. You all heard the stories. And then you also take Asians or Chinese, I guess, in my cultural heritage, but it's like Chinese who are in poverty. There's a lot of Chinese in poverty, and you can't compare the two. Like, it's not the same. Like, you can't just be like, look at these crazy rich people, you can get successful. Like, that's not, it's
Also, another thing I wanted to bring up that, like, really helped me understand history a little bit better is that, like, the oppression that, like, Asian people faced and that black people faced in the United States is very, very different, because for black Americans, what they had is, like, fucking slavery, segregation.
Yeah, literally.
All these really shit stuff. But then for like, for Asian people, I'm not saying it was, like, less bad, but, like, what happened,
I mean, it was less bad.
Okay, but, like, hold on, but, like, what I'm trying to say is that, like, Asian people came to America under, like, visa, so we were given, like, the reason why there's, like, the stereotype of us as being, like, more smart and things like that is because there were special visas that they made that basically filtered all Asian people, basically saying only people who had these special professions, like being a doctor or, like, being an engineer could come into the United States, and so that's how that developed. So it's really unfair to say that, oh, they came here and then they just worked really hard and they got it.
Yeah.
And, like, overall now all Asian people are, like, more successful. But we face different types of oppression, and it just doesn't, you can't really measure that. But also at the same time, I feel like it's really, when we're talking about that with our parents specifically, we have to be careful that we don't invalidate their experiences, because, like, the shit they went through, like, the immigrant experience, that's real to them, you know, that's really real. And we can't just pretend like that's something that didn't happen, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it really hurts their feelings too when you say, like, because, like, there's always this feeling of, like, because I feel like my parents say this a lot, like, well, no one fucking helped me when I was experiencing, like, racism, and just, like, because my parents said, like, I remember my dad was saying shit like, I have to work, like, 200% harder than my white coworkers because I know I have to face discrimination. But then he goes on and says shit about, like, why can't black people do the same thing? But it's just not comparable. So
yeah, I think actually my parents are a little bit different, because over the past couple of weeks we've had some definitely, like, hard conversations. I remember at one point I was, like, arguing with them on racism, and my like, I was getting yelled at because I think I came off as, like, they thought I was coming off as, like, more arrogant or, like, superior when I was trying to, like, you know, talk about this subject. And I think we got in an argument over if I was trying to, like, belittle them or not, but it's definitely had its ups and downs. But I think we've reached a point where it's honestly, like, gotten better, because like, I talked to my parents the other day, and they were, like, saying, yes, like, we do believe that there is, like, stuff wrong with the police and that, like, change does need to happen. I think the part right now where I disagree with most of my parents is that I believe we need to defund the police, and they don't. I feel like that is where our views, like, kind of clash a lot. Yeah. And looting, for sure.
Okay, I kind of like that our parents all have, like, kind of different stances, though, because I feel like it's kind of unfair to paint all, like, specifically, like, Chinese immigrant parents to like have the same opinions, because I don't think that's true.
Wait, Yumi, what about your parents?
Mm-hmm.
My parents, similar to your Mindy's parents, they do, like, I don't want to belittle their like experiences too, because I know how hard they work. They always talk about it, their experiences as like immigrants, right? And of course, I see where they're coming from, but at the same time, like what Mindy said, they are wrong in a way. Like, I do want to inform them as an Asian American, my perspective, and like, since they both have American citizenship now, I feel like they do have not an obligation, but a sense of obligation to know what's going on,
Yes.
and you know, not reform it, but change their mindset a little bit.
Yeah.
Wait, that actually is such a good point. Like, maybe before, when you were still a Chinese citizen or like on a green card, it's kind of different. But now that you are legally an American citizen, I saw this post actually online talking about how if you are not the one being oppressed right now, like, you have a duty to dismantle that system that is oppressing others, because otherwise you're part of it. And I feel like that is really true. Like, if you consider yourself an American, I guess, like, you have a duty to stop this, like, to like kind of help dismantle this system that is like oppressing other Americans in a way that like should not be okay.
Yeah, also, I think, yeah, my mom always brings up the point of comparing America to China, which I find quite ridiculous. Because once again, it's a homogenous society, and there's no, like, melting pot situation going on to begin with. So, yeah, I just don't see the point of her bringing up, like, oh, in China, there's no racism, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, but not a valid point.